love that. I don't know if anyone caught that, but that little "Go Lions" timed that well, very perfectly, Nick. That was good. That was good.
Thank you. Thank you.
What is going on, everyone? It is me and Nick today. Julius is hopefully not captured by some Spaniards in Spain right now because he's been a bit of MIA.
MIA in our chat, bro.
But he's on a vacation, so hopefully he's just enjoying himself and just enjoying vacation.
Right.
But unfortunately for Julius, he's missing some juicy Lions topics, and it seems like we've had a couple big stories these last couple weeks. So Nick, just gonna dive right into it, man. Cam Sutton, this whole saga, this whole story was wild. I don't know when you first saw it, but I saw the first initial when I don't know what police group it was. I think it was like Houston or something.
I think it was Florida, but yeah.
Florida, yes, I don't know. It was HSCO. That was their at police, whatever.
Maybe it's
Which
Houston.
I don't know what that stands for, but I guess Houston. But yeah, you're right. It was Florida, and I guess Cam Sutton's still on the run, which is crazy because the Lions have built this culture of like I don't want to say good guys, but guys that are not troublemakers. Essentially, we haven't really had any red flag players. So for this to pop up kind of out of the blue, very very odd. And then as you guys know, Lions went outright cut him, released him. So the good news is we are going to spread his cap over the next couple of years, so it's not going to affect us. We actually gained 1.5 million in cap space this year, so maybe that helps out with the Zeter deal. We got 1.5 from Sutton, and then you got 4.5 from Carlton Davis, and there you go. Zeter's free, baby. So all works out. But Nick, Cam Sutton, is the DBs in trouble? What was some of your first thoughts on this, I guess? Because it's a kind of a crazy story.
My first thoughts were, what the heck is going on? Like, this is nuts. And you're right. We actively don't go after guys that have red flags. Like, that is our motto and our culture. We want good dudes who are ready to play football and want to play football. This was nuts and scary almost. Like, I don't know the exact full story, and I'm not going to sit here and just what I heard was some crazy stuff happened with him and his girlfriend. I'm not sure exactly what's true and what's not, but ultimately what he did was very bad, very, very bad. So much so that he has been on the run from the police for multiple weeks, almost up to a month now. And that's crazy. We haven't had the chance to really talk about it. It does hinder our cornerbacks, our secondary, a little bit. I don't think Cam Sutton was truly moving the needle. He was obviously our best cornerback last year, but I think the bar was pretty low. Okay, so I was very excited with him and Amik Robertson playing the cornerback 2 position with Carlton Davis playing cornerback 1. I was very happy with that, actually. I was like, we went from having Cam Sutton being our best cornerback to possibly being our 3rd best cornerback in one offseason, which is great, with still a draft to go. Who knows, maybe he would have been 4th, but he isn't on our team anymore. And the reasoning is because there was domestic violence, and it is not okay to do that. That is never okay. You cannot hit a woman, and he outright did more than hit a woman from what I've heard, from what I've seen. It's crazy that he was in the Lions facility when the news broke, and we came and talked to him and told him to turn himself in, and instead he OJ Simpsoned it and got into a white Bronco.
Hopefully, I don't know, Nick, your connection's starting to break up.
And drove away and just never to be seen again. I don't know. Maybe he's. Oh, can you see me? Can you hear me?
You're a little lag.
No,
but you're good now.
That's terrible.
Right when you start talking about OJ.
That's my computer was like, no, shut it off, Nick. Shut it off. Just move over to the next one. All right. So it was just crazy. I do think our cornerbacks still need a little bit of help. I'm actually gonna jump off. So Adam, you talk a little bit. I'm gonna jump back on, but get on my phone.
Yeah, for sure. So Cam Sutton, obviously a wild story. Yes, Nick, like you were saying, the Lions approached him and were like, hey, you should probably go turn yourself in. And Yes, he vanished. He pulled a P. Diddy, took his probably doesn't have his private jet, but took a jet over to some foreign island that's, all the way across the country and cannot be extradited. I don't know, I'm just speculating, but Cam Sutton's still on the run. And if he's still on the run and vanished this like hard, because normally you typically see guys, they turn themselves in, it eventually gets to the point where they turn themselves in, they get caught. Somebody knows someone where they can find out where that person is. But this case, no one knows anything, and Cam Sutton has no trace. So, a very, very odd situation. Hopefully it all turns out, good. Hopefully, he turns himself in, they catch him, whatever, and everything works itself out. And hopefully, the lady, the woman is all right and she is, feels safe. But man, oh man, what a crazy story to kind of wake up to, because this wasn't broken by any Lions beat reporters, where typically you see news, it's Adam Schefter, it's, Kyle Minke, it's, Dave Burkett, one of the Lions beat reporters. But this time, if you saw it like right off the bat, like me, I saw someone quote tweet the police report, and you're like, whoa, hold up. This isn't, a troll. This is legit. What the hell? So, yes, I think the quarterback room, it's interesting because Cam Sutton was pretty much the only guy that was there from start to end last year. The two guys that are returning are Stephen Gilmore, who like didn't even play a single snap, maybe played a little preseason, and Khalil Dorsey, who special teamer, had a couple snaps, at cornerback, DB, whatever. But ultimately, I feel like Aaron Glenn was counting on Cam Sutton to kind of be the leader, in a sense of like, this is how we run things. This is the defense. This is how, hey, no, Glenn likes you to cover a little to the left, or, hang deep instead of, press the guy, whatever. So it'll be interesting to see who takes over that role in the DB's room. And for me, Nick, I saw you tweet it, man. You all over this Amik Robinson dude coming from the Raiders. He seems like he has an awesome personality. He seems like he's going to be taking over as team motivator for CD Deuce and Jamal Williams. So I like the passing of the torch. Hopefully he can, just stay healthy so he's on the field and just keep this, passionate mentality, because it does rub off. It does make a difference. You saw, it was different between CJ Gardner Johnson and Jamal. Jamal was like positive. And CD was just like, I'm a savage. I know I'm the best. You don't have to tell me I'm the best. So it's going to be cool to see what we get out of Amik. But nonetheless, I think he is going to be a great team motivator. And Nick, who do you think we need to step up the most? If Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell, maybe take one cornerback in this draft. It's a second, third round guy, nothing crazy. What one player do you need to step up the most? It could be any DB too. It could be the safeties as well, because we got some good ones.
On the team currently, you're saying? Yes. Okay. It's a great question. I feel like there's a couple easy answers. I guess there's a lot of answers. You could say Carlton Davis. You could say we went out, traded for you, basically are making you a cornerback one. Go step up and be who we thought Cam Sutton was, who Cam Sutton really was in the first 8 weeks. Like, but just throughout the whole season, Carlton Davis, go be the best. Amik Robertson is an easy answer. Brian Branch is probably maybe one of the best answers you could say. We missed out on Kirby last year. I just don't think he was as playmaking good as he was his first year. He had plays. The Vikings fans hate him and the Rams fans hate him, and I love that. But and then it's easy to say iffy too. Like any of those guys, I don't even know. It's hard to like bring it down to one. If I did, I guess I would say Carlton Davis. I know we don't have anybody on our secondary or in the cornerback room really outside of like Brian Branch that really has the AG system it like engraved in them right now. But Carlton Davis, we got you as cornerback one. Go be the best. Like, we need you to step up immensely right now and just shut down Amon-Ra St. Brown every single day in practice, to a point where St. Brown's getting frustrated because Carlton Davis is that good, and then we can go let all that frustration out on the field when the season starts. So that's my answer, is Carlton Davis.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of like the most logical answer. Yes, we did. We gave up a third to get this guy. I mean, you could say him, Amik, and Brian Branch are probably like the three most. hopefully we don't see Brian Branch take that sophomore step back, sophomore slump, kind of like Kirby did, but it can happen.
And sophomore slumps do happen. Like if Brian Branch does it, I'm not going to be out on him by any way, shape, or form. You know what I mean? He over impressed his rookie year, and if we expect another season of over succeeding expectations, you're just setting yourself up for failure. You're like, temper the expectations a little bit. I think that's what happens when it comes to a sophomore slump. Is they have such a good rookie year that you're like, that guy better be like voted into the Hall of Fame after his sophomore year. And it's like, no, dude, just let him be a player. Like, let him just, if he does exactly what he did this year, next year, I'm very happy. You know, a couple missed plays, a couple big plays, and ultimately just on the field as much as he could. You know, there was a few injuries, but yeah, I hear what you're saying. I was hoping you'd be like Stephen Gilmore, honestly, or Stephon Gilmore, whatever.
No. Yeah, Stephon Gilmore. I know. The parents named him Stephon and Steven. How confusing must have that been? Like,
come on, I can't handle it.
Oh, was that me? No, your brother. Oh, okay. No, like, man. All right.
Should we sign Stephen Gilmore?
I wouldn't be opposed. I would like to add. I would just do something. If it's if it's bringing back Kindle Vildor, I'm cool with that.
Dude, when I tweeted out, I listed a bunch of people on like who should be a target, and I put Kindle Vildor on there, and everyone was like, "Not Vildor! I can't believe Vildor is even on this list." Blah 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 blah. I'm like, you guys obviously didn't watch the Lions and only watched them in the NFC Championship game, or only saw the one CeeDee Lamb play. Because outside of that, Vildor was very, very, very good for us for what we expected, or for what we put him into mid-season, coming over to us, fourth team in like a year or 2 years or whatever it is. Like, he played exceptionally well. So spare me on any Kindle Vildor hate. Spare me. Yes, he missed an interception against the Niners that turned into what could have been. That wasn't the reason we lost the game. We did not lose the game because Kindle Vildor did not make that interception. We did not lose to the Cowboys because Kindle Vildor missed the tackle on CeeDee Lamb. In fact, he ended up being the one that made CeeDee, fumble outside of the end zone.
Yeah.
So spare me on any Kindle Vildor hate. I would love to bring him back. I'm actually surprised we haven't brought him back, just as depth piece.
Yes. I agree too. I'm kind of surprised as well, because he's a guy that, was with us the back half of the 8 weeks, could jump right in the system, doesn't need to learn a new playbook. And, I can't imagine he's asking for, the bag. He would get, some sort of minimum, some sort of small deal. If he gets injured, not going to cost us a lot, because he does have a small injury history. But regardless, I think we're going to bring back Kindle Vildor. I think that's our plan B. Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell are likely still trying to figure out what they want to do, how they want to address this Cam Sutton issue, but they both did come on 97.1 and kind of said two separate things. So Dan Campbell came on first, and he said we do need to address our DBs room, and we need to make a move before the draft, kind of hinting at we probably will go out and sign someone in free agency. And Brad Holmes said, no, DC, you can't show your cards like that. We're all set, guys. We don't need to sign anyone. We're not looking for anyone. We're all set. And I think it was a little more of not them being on different pages. It was Dan Campbell, that's so Dan Campbell, just up front, just sometimes not even realizing like what he's saying. And you're like, hey zip it. And Brad Holmes essentially came on and, like one of my buddies said, did a little damage control and was like, no. Our defensive backs group is set. We're fine. We'll address it in the draft if we need to. And it kind of, you don't show your cards, even if it's the smallest thing. You don't give any tells, and it works out. So, Nick, how confident are you, scale of 1 to 10, that we actually will go sign any defensive back? It can be Kindle Vildor, any defensive back before the draft.
5 out of 10. I'm not that confident that we'll go sign someone. I think we will make a play at a cornerback in the draft, and I do think it'll be earlier than I had originally expected and had said on the show many, many times that we will not be going after a defensive back until rounds 3, 4, or later, the third round or later. But now there's a chance we may even be moving up to get Quinyon Mitchell or Terrion Arnold. I don't know. It's so weird. I think you're exactly right. Where Dan Campbell, I don't think there's any kind of miscommunication. I think Dan Campbell just said what the Lions really do need, and Brad Holmes was like, "Whoa, dude! Like, pump the brakes a little bit, because we'll have trade people, trade offers out there and whatnot, and people will ask more from us if they know that we are like in need of a cornerback. And honestly, if everybody stays healthy, Carlton Davis and Amik Robertson, we don't need another cornerback. With Brian Branch, who is going to get some safety looks this year, he's still going to be our nickel, in my opinion. As long as everyone stays healthy, we don't need a cornerback. The only thing we need is depth, which is what Kendall Vildor is. So that's why I give it 5 out of 10, because I do think we will sign a depth piece. I'm not going to say 10 out of 10 we will sign, but I do think we will. I will say 10 out of 10 we add another one, whether it be through signing or draft.
Yeah, that's pretty spot on with what I would have to say. I think Kendall Vildor, I put him re-signing as about 8 out of 10. I'm pretty confident that everyone else, 5 out of 10. I don't think it's, I should say I don't think, because I kind of do want to add someone. But if Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell are cool with, let's draft, let's find someone in the draft, I'm all on board with that. So Quinyon Mitchell.
Go ahead. Sorry.
If we could move up to get Quinyon Mitchell, man, that would be the dream. And a lot of people, you might think, well, Brad Holmes doesn't make trades. He doesn't like to trade a lot, and he kind of does. I'm kind of contradicting myself, but he traded up to get J-Mo. He's made a trade pretty much every single draft in the first round. So we very well could see some sort of movement. And if that's moving out of 29 to get like a couple more second rounders to just draft, some two second round guys, I'd be cool with that too. But honestly, yeah, I'm with you on a 5 out of 10 there.
Yeah, I do think what needs to happen for us to sign one of the cornerbacks that everyone's kind of clamoring for, and whether that be Stephen Gilmore, or I'm like drawing a huge blank on all the names I even posted, but it was like Eli Apple or any of these like bigger names that are out there. We need to get the Goff and the St. Brown contract done. Okay, we get those done, then we really know what our money's like this year. So we already have a certain amount dedicated to our rookies that'll be coming in, and that's kind of pushed aside. You take that out of what cap space we have left. We need to see what's going to happen with St. Brown and Goff. I think that's one of the reasons why we're not immediately like going and getting one, because we're kind of focused on that right now. But it was good to see Brad Holmes basically said he threw a perfect game in free agency this year. Got all the top guys he wanted, was afraid he wasn't going to get Amik Robertson when they traded for Carlton Davis, but Amik already had it in his mind. And he put out on Twitter yesterday saying that he's not trying to troll anyone, but he's seriously thinking about Detroit every single day, and he just cannot wait to be here. It's the kind of mentality you love to see. Carlton Davis already restructured his contract to help the team get an extra $3.5 million this year. So I just think we need to see what happens with Goff and St. Brown. They're both going to be extended this offseason, in my opinion. And that's why I don't think we're going to go sign someone right now. If we do sign someone, I bet it will be after the draft.
Yeah, I could definitely see that, especially with Brad Holmes being as confident as he is in the draft. He would know, all right, if I don't get my one dude, if I get sniped or something, I can still go out in free agency. And if I've waited this next month until the draft, there's likely not going to be, too many teams after the draft still wanting DBs. So the market will still be kind of what it is right now when at post-draft. So won't be as diluted. But I will say the one guy I wouldn't have minded, Rams went out and got Tre'Davious White on a $10 million deal, 1 year, 10 mil, which I would have liked that. Just a 1 year deal, Brad Holmes's typical type thing. And even if it's not Tre'Davious White, Stephon Gilmore, just a veteran that, could give us a few games, not need to be that lockdown starter, but could, lead the locker room and lead by example, because right now our locker room defensive backs leader kind of up for grabs. And it's like Amik Robertson, he's the dude that wants it. And then the other thing that I've been thinking about as well, why Brad Holmes might not make a move, is what if he's thinking, this Amik Robertson kid's better than what he was in the Raiders. He had a coach of Josh McDaniels and little Antonio Pierce, and now he's upgraded to Dan Campbell. Well, then you go from Raiders culture, a losing just mess, in Vegas, all those temptations, can't, go have fun when it's all right in front of you. And now you're in Detroit where, all sorts of fun, cool Red Wings, Pistons, I should say Pistons, but all fun activities you can do in Detroit that's not just gambling where you can't do in Vegas. So I feel like Amik Robinson, it would not shock me that if he blows up and becomes just a real, a lot better than what we expected, it wouldn't shock me at all. And then my next one is Emmanuel Mosley. I don't know why, but I just feel like this dude's going to be healthy majority of the season. I just have this weird feeling that's like, fool me once, shame on my knee. Fool me twice, shame on my other knee. Fool me 3 times, it's not going to happen because I don't have 3 knees.
I agree with that. I agree.
Yes. I mean, and there is a chance, I think it'll be either Mosley's going to play 1 to 2 games and something bad's going to happen just because that's how his body's built, or he's going to beat the injury bug and play 14 games and only be on the pup for 2 weeks or something like that. So if all that works out, we get our cards and everything starts falling for the Lions, then yeah, we do not need to add anyone else. So
yeah, I kind of forget Emmanuel Mosley's on the team, honestly. But I agree with you that the dude is due for a full season. You know what I mean? Like this stuff can't just keep happening. So I like him as a good cornerback 3. I do want to get one more, but I think it'll be in the draft, not so much signing. And hopefully we get Vildor right after the draft. We get to sign him.
Speaking of Vildor, he was one of the guys who had, a controversial play in that 49ers game. Well, Josh Reynolds, another guy who had controversial play in the 49ers game, and both of them are off the team. Vildor, maybe back, maybe not, but Josh Reynolds is gone, 2-year deal with the Broncos. Good for him. I go get your money, man. I would do the exact same thing. 2-year up to $14 million. I don't know exactly the base pay is, but it was out of the Lions price range. I think we were looking at $4.5 to $5 million, and the Broncos gave him a little over 6, maybe closer to 7 with, incentives. So Nick, how much of a blow, and, if any, do you think not having Josh Reynolds just for, chemistry, just for having, being a boy to Jared Goff, or do you think Goff's like, nah, I've found a new love in Sam Laporta and this Jahmyr Gibbs guy, and Josh Reynolds, you were going to be a thing of the past?
I wish we could have retained Reynolds. I'm glad it wasn't for $7 million a year, but I wish we would have retained him. There's only 2 players that Jared Goff threw to on 4th down in the NFC Championship game. There's Amon-Ra St. Brown and Josh Reynolds. That's trust. That's when you need to make the play. You go to the guy that you trust the most. And though Reynolds didn't make either of the plays that he needed to, and during the 4th downs, he still saw the opportunities. He had those chances. So I'm bummed. I put out there that Jared Goff was 0-8 without Josh Reynolds as a Detroit Lion, and he was 23-15-1. 23-15-1 with Josh Reynolds on the Lions. Okay, that's a big difference. And no, quarterback wins aren't a stat. And sure, the team continued to get better, but the team was 0-8 without Josh Reynolds. And once we got Reynolds, we saw improvement, whether it was in the back half of the 2021 season, in the 2022 season, or this year. Reynolds' targets went down. Whoever we bring in will still only get 2 to 3 targets a game, probably, maybe up to 4, but probably not because JMO's really going to start stepping up. So I'm bummed, but I wasn't going to pay that much money. But I was wishing he would take a hometown discount and stay with us, just because he had that chemistry and he was a good wide receiver. I see in the comment here from Marquette Madman. Nope, sorry, dude. Marquette Madman, and I just am dyslexic apparently. He says it's more about DPJ. I don't know if I truly think DPJ is going to do anything. I bet you if I put his over under at 8.5 receptions this year, I would still take the under on it. I don't think he gets more than 5 receptions this season. I don't see it. Whoever we bring in will only get 2 to 3 targets, being the X wide receiver. And whoever it is isn't going to have chemistry with Goff like St. Brown, Laporta, Gibbs, or even JMO now. JMO and Goff are really starting to get that chemistry. So I'm not sold on where our wide receivers are after JMO. And I know Khalif is really good. I see, and he's in Brad Holmes said it himself. I bet Khalif Raymond has quadruple the amount of catches than DPJ does. He's the guy that has the chemistry with Goff. It just stinks because he's a little bit smaller. He can't be an X wide receiver. I don't have faith in DPJ. I said it 100 times. Don't be shocked if we do another Detroit Lions thing, which is go and draft a wide receiver in the first round. And his name's Brian Thomas. And I've been mocked him to him a while ago, got slandered for it. Now he's a top 15 mock draft. And everyone who was like, how dare you? Oh my God. Now he's going in the top 15. And I bet we still draft a wide receiver early. We could even be Xavier Legette. I know people don't want to hear it. And I understand we went through the Charles Rogers and Roy Williams and Calvin Johnson era and the Eric Ebron and the Brandon Pettigrew. We just continue to draft pass catcher after pass catcher after pass catcher in the first round. The thing is, it's going to keep happening. So just, kind of deal with it. I think Brad Holmes is going to get a wide receiver. I think it's going to be an X wide receiver. And I don't think he's going to be that much of a playmaker in his first year. But I do think he'll get a lot of reps on the field. I think he'll be better than DPJ, whoever the fuck it is that we draft. And I'm just, it stinks that Josh Reynolds is gone. Honestly, it does. That NFC championship game did not leave a bad taste in my mouth. It just didn't. Like, I know it sucks. Reynolds should have done better. We lost like that game, but Josh Reynolds, I guess I'm saying, didn't leave a bad taste in my mouth. Like, it was an off day. Dude, he made so many spectacular catches on terrible Jared Goff throws throughout the past 3 years that, honestly, he could do no wrong for me. I'm glad he got his money. He's going to Denver. He should be the wide receiver, too. I don't think Mims is going to do anything out there. I don't know who the quarterback's going to be, but it'll be, who the heck's on that team? Cortland Sutton?
Cortland Sutton. There's a lot. So it's a bunch of random. It's like Cortland Sutton and a bunch of randoms. So it's like Cortland Sutton, Tim Patrick, Marvin Mims, Josh Reynolds. And then there was a couple like other dude like Brashard Perryman type, guys that have been on 15 different teams that, always seem to be like a wide receiver 4 and just always seem to be in the NFL. But yeah, I do think with Reynolds' contract, I'm pretty confident he's locked up that number 2 spot unless, he's just awful in training camp or something. And Tim Patrick looks, phenomenal, which could happen. But Patrick's coming off an ACL injury, so you never know.
2 years in a row.
Mm-hmm. But Josh Reynolds, always will be grateful for him. He won me a little over $1,200 on the Panthers game when he had Jared Goff threw a little overthrown pass, and Josh Reynolds, I don't remember how he made the one-handed catch. I don't know if it was like out in front of him. It was a nice one-handed grab though to get a first down to end the game and allow the Lions to. He got a first down and allowed Lions to win, and it was the exact yardage I needed for him to hit his over in my last leg of my parlay. And simultaneously, if the pass would have went 2 more yards, if he would have ran for 2 yards, Jared Goff would have hit on the over, which would have busted my parlay. So I had Goff's under, Reynolds over, and that 8-yard pass was the perfect line. And it hit and won me $1,200. There was also the same game where I went balls to the wall, put $20 on Sam Laporta scoring 3 touchdowns, and he had 2. So I was freaking out, thinking I was gonna get the $2,000 from Sam Laporta, and then Josh Reynolds hooked me up, said, no, I got your back, buddy. So we'll always be grateful for him for winning me some cash.
Yes, amen.
But Nick, we've had some rules changes, and boy, oh boy, it seems like this has been the most change in the last, few years. So let's just start with the big one, the hip drop tackle. This is going to be such a sticky and just painful process. I don't know why they are throwing this in right now. They should have done, preseason only. This rule is going to be in effect. Let's run a preseason. Then next year we can look at it. But to have refs who have never called this penalty before have to make judgment calls now on, was this a hip drop? Did he grab his shoulder pad? Did the, runner make it look like he's, bringing him down by his hip? Or did, because I feel like runners now, if you get tackled by the waist, you can almost go into a hip drop motion where if the guy's got you wrapped up and you kind of just go down, you're going to bring the other dude down with you. And it could look like a hip drop tackle. So it's going to cause so much confusion. I understand there was a lot of players getting hurt from it, but ultimately You guys signed up for this. You're playing the game of football. You can't take away concussions. You can't take away ACL injuries. So they signed up to play a dangerous game, and they're getting paid to play this dangerous game. So to nerf it as much as they have right now, it's going to suck. I feel like it's going to be a similar situation to being able to challenge offensive and defensive pass interference calls, where it was just such a mess. And I just don't think it's going to work out. I feel like we're going to see 1 year of a mess. It's going to be voted on next year. And I wouldn't be surprised if they're like, yeah, no, we're done with this, and it goes away. But we saw Aiden Hutchinson make that hip drop tackle against Dak Prescott. I think he's made a couple other, I'm not going to say it's his move, but Hutch definitely likes to and knows how to use his body weight to bring the runner down. So it's going to cause a lot of, players to have to change how they, tackle or finish off tackles. So Nick, what is one of your biggest concerns for, the new hip drop rule?
That at the end of a certain week, and it won't be every week, but it'll be a few weeks throughout the regular season, that's all we're talking about. That's all we're talking about. The game is decided by it. Then, and we get over it and we move on to the next week and blah, blah, blah. Then we're going to get into the playoffs, and a team is going to be sent home because of a judgment call by a referee. It's just going to be conversed. Whether the call is right or wrong, it's just that's all the people are going to be talking about. And that's not what fans want to talk about. We don't want to end a week or end a game being like, the referees blew it. Like, no, just be like, my team blew it, or my team won, or whatever it was. You know what I mean? Like, don't let the referees have so much impact on it. This is very similar to like a horse collar tackle. And a lot of times the NFL gets that right. The referees get it right. And I bet they're going to get this hip drop tackle right more than they'll get it wrong. But there will be a few times where, whether right or wrong, it'll just create controversy between fans. And that's just no fun. No fun, dude. Like, this is no fun league right now. Honestly, like, everyone says it, and I guess I'll just say it too. Like really, let's just play flag football. Like, let's just do it. Let's just get into it. Like, it'll still be fun. It'll still be worthwhile watching. Everyone will still watch it. Okay, we're just gonna play flag football, and then and we'll put like 8 flags on their waist. You don't really have to wear pads. It gets rid of concussions. It gets rid of the torn ACLs. It gets rid of everything. It sucks. It's not what we grew up with. These are gladiators. These are men in the field. Well, the NFL doesn't want gladiators, and the NFL doesn't want men in the field. They want their best players playing, so that when they play a game on a Wednesday and a Thursday and a Friday and a Saturday and a Sunday and on Peacock and on Yahoo and on YouTube and on Fox and on wherever they want to do it, so they can get all the money that they can, then you have your best players out there, right? Like, are you gonna like just, if anything, why are we not like banning turf? Like, turf is like injured more people than this hip drop tackle. But what it is it's 32 old, mostly white guys who have barely, if ever, played football, creating these rules against the NFLPA wishes and against the players' wishes, so that they can sell more jerseys. And they know that if they have their stars out there, more people will watch. And if it's Tim Boyle versus Jeff Driscoll, no one's going to watch. But if it's Dak Prescott versus Jared Goff, people are going to watch. So it's like, why would there's so many things to it. I get what they're trying to do. I tweeted out a video of what's his name, Mike something from the Steelers, and he clarified it so well. He's just like, at this point, I'm going to hurt myself trying to tackle someone to make sure that the offensive player stays healthy. And he goes into a point where it's like Andy Dalton throws a bad ball to Tyler Eifert. He goes to make the tackle in the guy's gut, into Eifert's gut, but Eifert had to dive for the ball because it was a bad thrown ball. So Eifert throws, and now it's head-on collision, and the safety is charged $50,000 because Eifert dove for the ball. Like, there's so many things right now that they just want a lot of scoring and no injuries. Well, that's great. Just make it flag football, and you'll get that. And you'll still have people watch. And you won't have kids at the 5 and 10 and 15-year-old age limit getting into concussions and having parents say, no, I don't want you to play this sport. The worst thing that'll ever happen is a non-contact injury. All right, so let's just do it. Like, let's just play flag football. because this is stupid. And the second it burns Detroit, and especially in the playoffs, I'm gonna lose my mind. And I'm gonna be right back on this podcast, fucking cussing left and right, flipping out. And I don't want that. I don't want that to be my podcast. I don't want that for a Cleveland Browns podcast. I don't want that for a Jacksonville Jaguar. I don't want that for a Chicago Bears podcast. I as much as I hate the Bears and the Packers and the Vikings, I don't want these NFL talk shows and stuff to be all about the hip drop. That's all we're going to hear about. And it's going to be so dumb. And why do we spend so much time on the referees at this point? Let's just make it flag football. It's all we need. We'll have Gene Steratore do all the penalties. He'll be the only one. He'll be in the box, and he'll call every penalty for every game. Like, it's just stupid. It pisses me off. It bums me out. I'm not looking forward to it. Again, if the NFL refs were like the MLB refs, or the MLB umps, where they got the call right 99.9% of the time, I'd be super okay with it. It's like, yeah, a new rule change, but that's okay because we have the best umpires or referees in the entire world. We'll be fine. And for the MLB, outside of Angel Hernandez, they do have the best refs and umps in the entire world. But the NFL have the worst. There are more missed calls in an NFL game than every other sport in the world, except maybe NBA. NBA has probably some of the worst refs I've ever seen in my life.
Not just because it's so fast-paced and there's so much to call on pretty much every single play.
Yeah. So like what? So at this point, man, just put robots out there. Or just give flags. And at that point, you don't have to worry so much about the physicalness around everything. I'm sorry. Obviously, I don't want to watch flag football, but that's just where we're going, and that's what we need to do. It'll make it so concussions are out of the league. It'll make it so these like terrible leg injuries and hip injuries are out of the league. And we just play football. We just like backyard football, 2-hand touch flag style. Whatever, dude. It's better than having the refs decide a fucking Super Bowl.
Yeah, and my one thing is, I'm like, rule changes, okay. You guys want to change stuff, that's fine. But for the one thing they haven't done that, I don't know why they can't do this, and it's fining the refs. You don't have to fine them 50 grand like you do the players, because granted, they don't make nearly as much. But man, if you fine them 5 grand, that ref's going to remember next game. And he's going to be like, you know what? I'm going to pay attention, or I'm really going to study on the exact, movements and things that deem a hip drop. So refs aren't just kind of like, yeah, that looked like one blow whistle, instead of like, that was partial, but I can't call it, or that was complete hip drop, I'm calling it. So to be able to find refs, like, nothing crazy, but just let them know, hey, you can't have 50 million mistakes and just get little demotions instead of reffing playoff games. You're just reffing normal regular season games. And it's like, I don't know the pay difference, but man, if you're reffing, a regular season game, I'm sure you're still doing all right, as opposed to, playoff games. But in the end, you have to show accountability for the refs as well, because it's not like they don't miss calls. They do miss calls. It happens pretty much every week. You will get Gene Steratore, whoever, come on and explain, well, that actually should have been, a pass interference. You could see the defender grabs the jersey, blah, blah, blah. And if that is the case, find the ref, man, because they have to be better than that. They have to be, not perfect, but just good and accountable,
Yes. MLB handles it just like you're saying. It's not, if it's egregious, there is action taken. Okay. If it's not egregious, it's not egregious. There's gonna be missed calls. Sure, whatever. It is what it is. But if it's egregious, you got to find the refs. It's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Like Brad Allen last year, I'll never get over it. Just the most stupid ref I've ever seen in my entire life. Dude, these refs are accountants. And then Roger Goodell came out and was like, I think we have our refs are in the best. What he was like, they're the best refs we've ever had, or something like that. I can't like verbatim, but paraphrasing, he basically said that there is no need to do anything with the referees because they are doing an excellent job. And it's like, well, you're an idiot, and I can't believe you're the commissioner of this league. I just can't wait for Goodell to be out of the commissioner of the NFL. Like, I just can't wait. I can't wait.
And I do think hopefully it's not like a Goodell 2.0 that takes over, and it's, someone that understands the game, a former player.
God, a player, someone who's played the game. How do you have this It's all business, dude. It's all corporation. It's what America is. It pisses me off. I honestly don't even want to talk about it anymore, Adam. It's really pissed me off. It's really annoying.
So, all right, let's talk about a couple other rule changes because the Lions, we proposed a rule and we got it passed. And it kind of is very ironic because it's pertains to the challenges. If you get one out of the 2 challenges right, you will get a third one. And it's very ironic because how many times did Dan Campbell miss a challenge?
Has he ever won a challenge?
I think he won one that was just incredibly odd. I remember one that I was like, okay, this one's so obvious. This is going to be the one he wins all season long. But yes, Dan Campbell is notorious for just being a bad red flag thrower. And I don't know if it's him. I don't know if it's upstairs. But what this does, if he misses the first one and gets the second one, now he's got a third. Vice versa. If he gets the first one, misses the second one, he still has his third. So it allows this aggressive nature to be more aggressive. Now, Dan Campbell, I guarantee you, man, we're going to see him challenging so much more. Little like, I don't know about this. Like things that I guess you could challenge that look clear on RTV, but to his eye, he's just going to throw the flag, man. I think he's going to be really aggressive with it and do so because if you get one right, just off of, the pinky toe is out of bounds and you get your third, which could be huge. So I like that.
Yeah, I like it. Real quick, I do want to say, fuck the challenges. Why have the NFL not just gone to New York to watch every game, and there are no challenges for any of the coaches? It's just New York will watch the game, and if there is a bad call, say, you guys need to look at that. And I'm sorry if it may prolong the game. And in fact, prolonging the game gets you more advertisements, more money for the NFL. The fans aren't going anywhere. You can make these games 18 hours long. We ain't going nowhere. We're watching every single game.
Yeah. Hell, just press a button, man.
New York, give them have something in your ear and say, that may have been a missed call. You need to stop the game and go look at it. Doesn't matter if it's one time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. It doesn't matter.
That's what it should be. You make so much money off the NFL. You could easily pay teams just to solely cover, only pay attention to the Lions, or you're this ref's, judge. So if you think anything he might have missed, you press this red button, it lights up the red light, and the ref might be right, he might be wrong, but he has to take a look at it. Yeah. So he goes, takes a look at it, and then the ref makes the final decision. Yep, you're right. I missed that. Or no, there was clear evidence he did blah, blah, blah. So the next rule change, this one was a little bit more interesting. The kickoff rule. So kickoffs are going to be anything unlike we've ever seen before. This will be very different. XFL style. We stole it straight from them. And I like that. I like that we're, giving test rules to the UFL now and let them be the guinea pig. I wish they would have done hip drop tackles this year and just ran a full season of the UFL and seen how it goes. Do the refs miss it, 1% of the time? Are they really good at it? Or are the refs missing this left and right? They can't figure out what a hip drop tackle is because it's just too hard to deem. So, it'll be interesting. But the kickoff rule, you're going to have pretty much, it's hard to explain. So just look up XFL kickoff rule. It's essentially a play from the 20-yard line. You're going to have your fastest guy back there, and it's almost like a one-run shot up the middle, like a direct snap almost. And there will be some excitement. I do think you're going to see guys scoring touchdowns just because if you could find that hole, if you can seal off the right hole and you got a fast guy that could just burst through the middle, J-Mo or Jahmyr Gibbs, then you could do something and, get points off the kick return. So this leads me to my next question. Nick, do you think teams will actually be putting do you think we're going to be putting J-Mo out there or Gibbs out there? Not just because they're, well, yes, just because they're fast and not because they're like our star? Or do you think teams will just take a fast guy like they've been doing with kick returners and not make it, the star wide receiver or the star fast running back? Or do you think they'll be more aggressive and put, the more talented player out there?
I don't think they'll be as aggressive and put the more talented player out. I think you're going to find a lot of track stars back there catching that ball and going. But there's no change to if a touchback goes, it's just still at the 25-yard line, right? They didn't move it up to the 30. There's just gonna be touchbacks after touchbacks. I do like this rule. but you need to make the touchbacks up to the 30 to entice kickers to try to keep it inside the field of play. And then you would be able to get those star players up there. Right now, no, I don't see the Lions putting Gibbs or JMO back there. I just think it's going to be some fast guy who has got really fast north and south speed. And then we'll see just kind of how it goes. But I would love to see JMO back there. And I know the Lions were a big proponent of this change. So I'm curious. Maybe we do. Maybe there's JMO and Gibbs and they catch and they do reverses and stuff like that. Like, you never know what's going to go on. It's going to be interesting. This is a rule change I can get behind. It does kind of take away the surprise onside kick, but we haven't seen that since the Super Bowl of the Saints and the Colts. So like, it doesn't really matter. Like onside kicks were not as fun. That needed to change. So I'm excited for this rule.
Yes, it's interesting too because the Lions, we have put Amon-Ra back for punt return a couple times, so it's not like we're afraid of a dude taking punt return and getting injured. So I am curious to see what we do, see what other teams do, and if we do throw out JMO out there, albeit I'm cool with it. But Nick, I got to wrap back to another question that I forgot to ask that pertains to Cam Sutton. So as you know, Cam Sutton repped the number 1 last year. That number is up for grabs. Do you think? We haven't really heard much about it. Do you think JMO or Gibbs will try to steal this number? And if so, who would you want wearing the number 1? Because they both obviously wore it at Alabama.
I like wide receivers with single-digit numbers, so I would love for JMO to do it. But I like JMO in the number 9, honestly. So even though I like wide receivers in single-digit numbers, I would prefer Gibbs to wear number 1. With 1 and Monty at 5, I like both of those. But real quick, I'm going to bring it back before you answer, because I do want to know your answer. I'm going to bring it back to what we were just talking about, which is the kickoff return and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Justin Fields as kick returner. Stop. Yes. Wouldn't that be fucking awesome? The dude's fast as shit, dude. Let him catch the ball and just fucking run. That'd be crazy.
That would be crazy. Yes, honestly,
you're thinking about it right now. You're thinking about it.
All right, man. If I'm ever playing as the Bears in Madden 25, you bet your ass I'm subbing out whoever the kick return special is for Justin Fields.
No, the Steelers. He's not a Bear anymore, Adam.
Steelers. Yes, that's right. Gosh.
But anyways, who would you want and to wear number 1?
Yes, like I'm kind of with you. I do think receivers in number 1, JMO would look fire that 1. But yeah, I kind of like the number 9. He's kind of adapted well to it. 9's just nice single digit number. And Gibbs having 1 would be, the 1 and 5 single digits just would look very appeasing. Yeah. So either way, I'm cool with either. But I'm curious to see if either will take it, because I'm pretty sure they will have to either buy out their jerseys or pay something, because this happens so late in the season. I don't know how it all works out, but when they first allow single digits, you had to announce that you were changing it. And so that next year you would get number 1, and this year you would still wear your same number, but you wouldn't have to pay. But if you wanted to wear it that same year, you would have to buy out all the jersey sales. So no
one's going to get it. We're going to draft Quinyon Mitchell first round, and he's going to wear number 1.
Or did Kool-Aid McKinstry wear 1?
I can't remember who wore 1 for Bama the Steers. I think it was probably Kool-Aid.
I think it was too, but I'm not 100% sure.
I don't really want Kool-Aid though. I want him for his name. I don't want him.
Yes, I want him for. Oh my gosh, I want to be like, we're drinking the Kool-Aid. We were drinking the Kool-Aid. Now we own the
drinking Kool-Aid with a guy named Kool-Aid on my team. There's a little double entendres there that I don't know if I want to be a part of. Honestly, I'm just saying.
Then again, yeah, if he ends up as a bust,
that'd be a bummer. Yeah, I don't think he's going to do that great, honestly.
Kool-Aid.
I think he falls out of the first round, honestly.
Yeah, interesting. Speaking of that, we are going to have our draft episode coming up here. Yep. Maybe next week, maybe the following week.
Probably next week we'll start to dive into them. Yeah. Maybe we'll do a couple different mock
stay on your toes for that. The next rule, this one was, Nick, you pointed this out. Finally, why haven't we done this, the last 5 years? Why wasn't this changed when the Lions got screwed out of it in the Justin Tucker field? And that is looking at the score clock if the time expires. So exact Justin Tucker situation where he snapped the ball with 0 seconds left. It should have been a 5-yard penalty, but because the ref had his head turned the wrong way, they couldn't enforce that. So now
I don't think it's play clock. I got corrected. It is game clock. So it is like when Jordan Love snapped a ball with 0 seconds to go in the third quarter and still got a 40-yard pass against us. That would have been taken back. I don't understand how play clock isn't involved in this. Like, there needs to be something where when the play clock hits 0, the rest has a buzzer, like a PF Chang's, like your table is ready buzzer on his wrist. At which point, if he feels that, he doesn't even need to look at the clock. If he feels that buzzer and that ball is not snapped, whoop, throw that flag and blow it dead, blow it dead, blow it dead, blow it dead. Just like a false start. Didn't get the play, but whatever. I guess it's one step forward. Now it's the game clock. It's not the play clock.
For real, man. Like, why can you not wear a wristband that vibrates every time the clock hits 0? You know?
I don't get it, dude. Or why can't it be challengeable like in the NBA or in the NHL where you can go and look to see if there was time left on the clock when that ball was put up or the puck was shot? It's stupid. I hate the NFL sometimes, but whatever. Again, this is a step forward.
And then finally, I guess the last, just decent sized rule, the trade deadline moved to week 9. I think this was more in because the season's getting longer. We want the 17 games. It's looking like we might be going to 18 games. Week 8 was in the middle of week 16. If we go to 18 games, it'll make sense that it's at week 9. So I think that's where they're getting that from. Nick, did I miss anything?
No, I don't think so. Hell of a show.
Yeah, I think that should do it. As always, check us out on Twitter at Honolulu Blues _. Check us out individually at EverydayFFB for myself and Nick Faber NFL for Nick. As always, we'll be coming back on likely Tuesday to do our draft show. Looking like we'll be doing that, so pop on for that. But as always,